Have you ever promised yourself that today would be different? You wake up feeling motivated. You tell yourself you'll study, go to the gym, finish that project, or finally start working on your dreams. But somehow, you end up scrolling on your phone for hours. Then guilt kicks in, and you start thinking, why am I so lazy? But what if you're asking the wrong question? What if the real problem isn't laziness at all? What if your brain is simply doing exactly what it was designed to do? Today, we're going to discover the surprising psychological reason why your brain doesn't naturally crave hard work, and once you understand it, you'll never look at your habits the same way again. Thousands of years ago, life was completely different from what it is today. There were no supermarkets, no electricity, no comfortable homes, and certainly no smartphones. Every day was about survival. Our ancestors had to hunt for food, escape dangerous animals, and protect themselves from harsh weather. Because food was limited and danger was everywhere, wasting energy could mean the difference between life and death. The people who conserved their energy survived longer and passed those survival instincts to future generations. That same brain now lives inside your head. The problem is that while the world has changed, your brain still follows many of those ancient survival rules. It doesn't know you're trying to pass an exam, build a successful career, lose weight, or achieve your dreams. It simply wants to save energy whenever possible. This is why sitting on the couch feels comfortable, while starting a difficult task feels exhausting before you've even begun. It's why watching videos or scrolling through social media feels easier than opening a textbook or working on a project. It isn't because you're weak or lazy. Your brain naturally prefers the option that requires the least amount of effort while giving the greatest reward. From your brain's perspective, conserving energy is actually a smart decision. Unfortunately, in today's world, this survival mechanism often works against us instead of helping us. Now think about social media for a moment. Every swipe gives you something new. A funny video, an exciting story, a beautiful vacation, delicious food, breaking news, or an entertaining meme. Each one gives your brain a tiny reward. These quick rewards release dopamine, a chemical that motivates you to repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. Many people believe dopamine is simply the happiness chemical, but its real job is to make your brain say, "Do that again." The problem is that social media, games, and endless entertainment provide instant rewards within seconds, while studying, exercising, learning a skill, or building a business often provide rewards only after weeks, months, or even years of consistent effort. Naturally, your brain keeps choosing the option that makes it feel good right now instead of the one that benefits your future. But here's the good news. Your brain is not your enemy. It isn't trying to ruin your life. It's simply following programming that helped humans survive for thousands of years. The amazing thing about the brain is that it can change. Scientists call this neuroplasticity, which means your brain constantly adapts based on what you repeatedly do. Think about when you first learned to ride a bicycle or drive a car. At first, everything felt confusing and difficult. You had to think about every movement. But after enough practice, those actions became automatic. You no longer had to force yourself to think about balancing or changing gears. Your brain created new pathways that made those tasks feel natural. Hard work follows the exact same pattern. The first few days of studying, exercising, waking up early, or learning a new skill always feel uncomfortable because your brain has to spend more energy. Since your brain dislikes using extra energy, it tries to convince you to stop. It tells you to rest, check your phone, or start tomorrow instead. But every time you continue despite that discomfort, your brain slowly adapts. What feels difficult today becomes easier tomorrow. After enough repetition, the behavior becomes part of your identity. This is why successful people aren't necessarily born with more motivation than everyone else. Many of them have simply trained their brains until hard work became their normal. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for motivation before they start. They tell themselves, "I'll work when I feel motivated." But motivation is temporary. Some mornings you'll wake up excited, while other days you'll feel tired and uninspired. If your actions depend on your emotions, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline works differently. Discipline means taking action even when you don't feel like it. Interestingly, psychologists have found that action often creates motivation instead of the other way around. Once you begin working, your brain realizes the task isn't nearly as painful as it imagined. In most cases, starting is the hardest part. That's why many productive people use something called the 5-minute rule. Instead of telling themselves they need to work for 3 or 4 hours, they simply promise to work for 5 minutes. 5 minutes feels easy, so the brain doesn't resist as much. Once they've started, they usually continue because getting started removed the biggest mental barrier. The difficult part wasn't the work itself. The difficult part was convincing the brain to begin. There's another hidden reason your brain avoids hard work, and that reason is fear. Sometimes you're not avoiding the task itself. You're avoiding the possibility of failing. If you never start your business, you never have to find out whether it would succeed. If you never apply for that opportunity, you never risk rejection. If you never try, your brain believes it has protected you from disappointment. But in reality, it has also protected you from success. Every expert you admire once knew nothing. Every athlete, entrepreneur, artist, scientist, and successful person has failed countless times before reaching their goals. Failure isn't evidence that you're incapable. It's evidence that you're learning and improving. Another powerful fact about psychology is that your environment often controls your behavior more than your willpower does. If your phone is lying beside you while you study, your brain will constantly want to check it. If junk food is sitting on your desk, resisting temptation becomes much harder. If your room is full of distractions, focusing requires much more mental energy. Instead of trying to become mentally stronger every day, make your environment work in your favor. Put your phone in another room. Keep your books on your desk. Prepare your workspace before you begin. Remove unnecessary distractions. Sometimes success isn't about having stronger willpower. It's simply about making good choices easier than bad ones. The truth is that your future is not built by one huge decision. It's built by hundreds of tiny decisions repeated every single day. One extra page read today, one workout completed, one healthy meal, 1 hour spent learning instead of scrolling. These actions may seem too small to matter, but over months and years they completely transform your life. Your brain always adapts to what you repeat most. If you repeatedly choose comfort, comfort becomes your identity. If you repeatedly choose discipline, discipline becomes your identity. Your habits shape your brain, and your brain eventually shapes your future. So the next time you catch yourself thinking, "Why don't I feel like working?" don't immediately call yourself lazy. Remember that your brain is simply following ancient survival instincts that once kept humans alive. Those instincts aren't your fault, but they also don't have to control your future. Every time you choose to do something difficult, you're teaching your brain that effort is safe, growth is rewarding, and discomfort is temporary. Over time, what once felt impossible begins to feel normal. The first step is always the hardest. The second becomes easier. The 10th feels familiar. The 100th becomes part of who you are. One day you'll look back and realize that the successful, confident, and disciplined person you wanted to become wasn't created by one giant breakthrough. That person was created by the small choices you made on the days when you didn't feel like trying. If this video helped you understand your brain a little better, don't keep this lesson to yourself. Share it with someone who believes they're lazy but simply needs a different perspective. And if you enjoy psychology, self-improvement, and life lessons that can genuinely change the way you think, make sure to follow Sticky Lesson and join us for more powerful lessons every week. Until next time, remember this: your brain naturally chooses comfort, but your future is built by courage. See you in the next lesson.